We're joined by counterterrorism expert and advisor Gadi Adelman. Gadi, firstly, why would a Palestinian with potential links to ISIS want to poison the water supply in Sardinia? Why is Italy a target?
Good evening, Michelle. You know, it's not a question of why Italy is a target so much as ISIS overall and threat. Italy has been very lucky up till now. They really have not faced the same type of amounts of terrorism that other European nations and their surrounding neighbors have. And that's pretty much because they are very quiet, even though they're part of the coalition. And what I mean by that is they're not doing the air raids like many other European nations are, along with the coalition in the United States. They do have ground troops, but they're really behind the scenes as far as that's concerned. So they've been lucky up till now. But it's not a question of whether he's Palestinian or not. It all boils down to just ISIS.
Right. And now, Gadi, authorities say that the plan was to put ricin or anthrax in Sardinia's town water. So what is involved in an attack like that? What are the logistics? How much ricin or anthrax is needed to do something like this?
Well, any time that you're dealing with a water supply or a food supply, you don't need that much when you're dealing with a poison. So it's also, unfortunately, it's not that difficult to obtain. And as we see more and more counterterrorism happening, we're going to see more and more ideas coming from the likes of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, and Hamas on how they can circumvent that and do other things that have not been done before. So that's why we've seen from the massive attacks like on 9/11 utilizing airplanes, which cost a lot of money, a lot of training, and took 2 years to plan and carry out. And then they go to just simple things like car rammings, or here's what you need to obtain to make a poison, get it into the water supply. One has to remember these water reservoirs are not guarded in many countries. So if you can get there and you can place it in the water, the hundreds of thousands of people will be at risk.
I mean, that is terrifying. Our water supplies, you're saying, are very susceptible to this kind of terrorist attack. So is the solution now to better protect that as well? Is that the next step?
Absolutely. And it's not like that everywhere, but in many places and in many countries, the water supplies and the water reservoirs are considered soft targets, meaning they don't have 24/7 guards. So now that will be looked at, and that will be something that you'll see throughout the world with them utilizing more types of, making it a harder target, if you will, and utilizing more security.
Gadi, I want to get your thoughts on another story while we have you here, and that is regarding what's happening in Haifa, an unusual sight there, a French naval vessel in the port. French officials saying that it's there for maintenance. However, military officials tell I-24 News that a fleet of European ships could be joining, raising the possibility of some kind of strategy there. I-24 News defense correspondent Daniel Tzemach has more.
Well, for now, we know that a French warship is docked in the Haifa port, and without any known army drills or planned visits by the French Navy, its presence is indeed somewhat strange. Now, the French embassy says that it's there for technical maintenance. The Israeli military, though, has no comment and directed us back to the French. Now, the Western military sources have told I-24 News that this particular ship has seen active combat experience in the region in the not-too-distant past. And other military sources from the West have said that this ship will be accompanied by a fleet of other European ships, making the explanation of technical maintenance a bit curious, to say the least. We also know that in the past 2 days, 2 new battalions, trained and commanded by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, Al-Quds Force, were seen mobilizing in Syria, one near the Israeli border with Syria and another near Syria's border with Iraq. For now, we don't have a confirmed link between these two developments, but the context under which this is happening is of course significant, especially with American troops in close proximity to that Syria-Iraq border and Israel's security concerns on the volatile northern border with Syria as well as Lebanon. Well, we may be seeing a Western response with those European ships heading to Israel's northern port.
Thanks to Daniel Tzemach for that report. Let's bring back Gadi Adelman, counterterrorism expert. Gadi, let's focus on the military aspect here. We have a French warship docked in Israel's Haifa port. Other European warships from Italy, Spain, and Britain expected to arrive in the coming days. What's your read on this?
You know, there's a lot of different ways we could look at this, and I do not want to say anything that may take away anything when it comes to the security of the state of Israel or anything that is being planned. We do need to understand that right now Israel is in the middle of a major military exercise, war games, if you will, as well as the fact that Haifa is often a docking point for any allied vessel that has any ties whatsoever to NATO and or Israel. So seeing foreign ships there is not uncommon. Obviously, this one was not expected, and that's why the French said, well, it's there for maintenance reasons. Whether or not we're going to see others arrive from Italy or the United Kingdom, as you mentioned, other European nations, remains to be seen, and I certainly don't want to say anything of what I've heard, whether or not it's going to be utilized against Syria.
Yeah, you know, there are suggestions that this could be linked to reports that Iranian-backed Syrian troops have been mobilized to Syria's border with Israel. Care to speculate on that?
Things are definitely heating up on the Syrian-Israeli border. There's no doubt about that. And as your journalist there, your reporter just pointed out, these are individuals that have been trained by the Al-Quds force from Iran. And this is something that Israel has said, Benjamin Netanyahu time and time again has stated, is a red line for Israel. They will not allow Iran to have any sort of presence within a 30-mile radius of that border. So things are definitely heating up.
Let's bring in another aspect to the story, which is raising some concerns. And Gadi, keeping in mind that Haifa port is Israel's largest port, now there's a Chinese state-owned company that is soon going to start operating the port. And there's concern that Israel is essentially giving China the keys to its largest port and that there will be major security and strategic ramifications, especially with the U.S. What do you think about that? Why would Israel do this?
Well, Israel and China now having diplomatic relations, and what's more is having trade, has opened up a whole new world for both countries. Having said that, there is, both in Israel as well as in other parts of the world, concern when it comes to China running that port. And this is the same thing we see in any country. Here in the United States, there are many other countries that actually run ports in the United States. So it is always a concern when you have a foreign entity controlling an entrance, be it any type of border or port or airport, to a different nation. I mean, obviously, that's a concern. One thing that I can say that I know when it comes to Israeli security and the way the Israelis do things, they would not have allowed this deal to go through if anyone in the Israeli intelligence community felt that there was in any way, shape, or form any type of concern or threat from that.
We would hope so, but some in the Israeli security community are flagging this as a potentially problematic, especially in regards to U.S. relations, that at the very least, this could cause unnecessary friction with Israel's top ally, the United States. Gadi, always good to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Gadi Adelman, appreciate your analysis.